Welcome. Hello. Welcome to my Spiritually Crafted Vignettes. I'm Cheryl Bradley. I am a spiritual medium, and it's been a few vignettes since I've said it, so I feel like I need to say this. But I was I was asked from Spirit to develop um, these vignettes to move to the public for my mission to have you open and to have you feel the light and the light that gives you peace. And I think we all in this lifetime, if we sat back and just breathe in and had just quiet thought, that is the greatest gift, is to have peace. And that transcends every level of our existence here on this plane. And so it is my lighted hope that you, through the vignettes, whether it's just one, whether it's many, that you find just a little bit of light and peace, that something speaks to you that hits your truth, and and you feel lighted, and that's really a beautiful place to be. So as I move forward on this vignette, my seventh vignette, the title is "What Choices Did My Spirit Make and Agree to?" And so these are choices, just as I talked about for free will at the beginning of my vignettes. This free will that we have, we've always had, and we will always have. It is something that is never changing. And before we incarnated, our spirits chose certain things. And this is just a sample of some choices. But the reason why I bring this into a vignette, and why I was told to bring this into a vignette, is because it gives our three-dimensional self purpose or thought or reasons of truth. And so I'm going to open up and we're going to start to have that conversation. And I do encourage you to really open up. And this I feel is a very strong slide to kind of think about your pearl, right? Sometimes that pearl is really easy to open to find your truth, and sometimes it's really difficult to open to find your truth. And your truth is not my truth when it comes to your choices, because we are infinitely different. Because we all come in as a collection of prior lifetimes, of prior themes, and things we did well, and things we're working on again in this lifetime. So we are so infinitely different. And again, this will be a common theme that I speak of as we move through these vignettes. So don't ever compare yourself with another spirit. Don't ever look at even a brother or sister, or anybody even in your relatives that you compare yourself to, because spiritually we are so incredibly different. And so let's talk about some of the choices that we make, and I will have just I'll go through this as briefly as I can, but it's very deep. So I always say to clients, and some already know this, but some are like, "You're kidding me." We choose our parents. We choose the parents that we come into. We choose for all different reasons. And again, I could do hours on this, just one slide. So I'm just going to be very brief and very fundamental, and I encourage you to open your light and see where your truth is. Why did you choose these parents? Because as I mentioned, and I will talk about this in vignettes to come too, is we very purposely choose, and I use that adverb quite a bit, purposely, 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 because it's not always for good experiences. Sometimes we chose our parents for that challenge, for things that we need to do better in this lifetime. So sometimes it's comfort, sometimes it's challenge, and sometimes it's not really about the parent, it's about the environment that the parents live in. So there are tentacles all over those decisions. So you have to kind of open and seek what your truth is. So we choose our parents. We choose our siblings, or we agree with our siblings. We agree about the birth order of the siblings, um, in all those pieces. So we know what siblings we are going to come in with. So that always the first two are big because a lot of clients I have say, really? Like I chose my father as my father? And I'll say that's when I'm being channeled. And um, but again, it's not always for comfort. Sometimes it's for challenge. Sometimes it's for a redo. I have many clients that their parents have been a parent to them in a prior lifetime, and the challenges that they were hoping to be lighted above didn't quite occur in a prior lifetime. And that's what I truly call my truth is spiritually. That's what I call karma, is repeating and trying to redo and correct the wrong. That's not the three-dimensional karma, and I know I'll speak about that. I'm hearing in vignettes to come, but that's my karma. That's my truth. So again, we choose our parents. We choose to come in with siblings, and we have a conversation and rightful conversation about our birth order. We choose our childhood, which certainly makes sense if you can embrace that you choose your parents because you're choosing the childhood that you're going to be in. You are choosing if you or you're coming into parents that will stay married or divorced. But remember, free will changes things, right? So when we come into a lifetime, and my next vignette is talking about that because all my vignettes prior are really kind of talking about what happens prior to incarnation. And now we're going to be talking about past decision. And I put together a spirit's journey, which is a six-part video that you can find on my website if you want to see that in more depth. A lot of these conversations I include in that, but it's in a deeper fashion. And so we we choose everything, but free will can can change our paths a little bit. But the things that we chose to keep in our path into our blueprint, which I spoke in prior vignettes, cannot be changed. They will happen because the universe will make them happen. They will create that to happen. So the things that we've hardlined into our blueprint, sometimes some of us are very tight on our blueprint, some are very loose on our blueprint. Again, free will, our choice. But know that what you asked to happen will happen. You cannot change that. But free will can change things. For instance, I was, I'm not speaking about myself, but a client would say, I wasn't supposed to be divorced. And I do see that quite a bit, that, I wasn't supposed to be divorced, but that partner that I chose, free will, divorced. So now my path changes. So again, many different things change based on our themes, based on our blueprints. Um, Nothing, when I speak about these vignettes and I speak about it, there are so many variables to it. Um, when I talk to clients, I can channel their truths. But when I speak in a mass forum as this, I can't include all the different variables that go here. So I'm just going to speak to them in a very fundamental and very objective way. So adversity and challenges, again, we choose them, but other pieces do make more challenges for us based on others' free will. And these two are very important, but I'm going to just really touch upon them because we will talk about them in future vignettes. Is when we come in, we choose 5 checkpoints, and they're placed, there's my adverb, purposefully. What that is I know my challenges. I know what I'm going to encounter in this lifetime, the major pieces that I have placed in. And so at any time, I can purposely, in my blueprint, in my path, choose 5 checkpoints where I say, I've learned, I know it's time for me to go home. And again, um, this is my truth. My truth and what I channel from the universe is that we choose to go home, that God does not call us home. God just welcomes us with his open arms. We choose everything. And we also choose when we go home. And and so we choose 5 checkpoints to say within our lifetime, whatever amount of lifetime that we choose, that at this point, if I've learned or I need to go home, it is going to be my choice to go home, my spiritual choice. And again, we'll speak more about this in future vignettes. I don't want to get too deep because I could be on this all day long as well. But that after the 5 checkpoints, we have what's called a death date, and that's a three-dimensional term. And that has some variability in it. But again, I don't want to go too deep with that. So 5 checkpoints within our path, and they're strategically placed. If I know this event's going to happen, and this could be a very, very traumatic event for me, then I'm not sure I will recover fully for that. I'm going to put place a checkpoint here that says, okay, if I can't, if I will choose to go home before I choose to fall off my path in despair. So, uh, and the one thing I'm being channeled to say is you cannot three-dimensionally choose to go home. So when you're listening to this vignette, don't ever think, oh, I'm ready to go home or I'm not ready to go home. You cannot make that choice three-dimensionally. Your spirit makes that choice, but your spirit makes that choice of light and love. And there's nothing three-dimensionally that you can have that impacts that. Your spirit is of a higher light, and your spirit makes those decisions. And three-dimensionally, you cannot overplay that. So take that right off the table. You, as a three-dimensional, cannot make that decision. But death is never an accident. Death is never an accident. So 5 checkpoints in a death date. And again, I know this is a lot, right? It's a lot to kind of take in. So take what you need, leave the rest. Follow me with future vignettes because I will go much deeper into those aspects in in a comforting way. All my vignettes have no darkness. That sometimes I outline them. I tell you because there is darkness that is around us, but I never channel darkness. I never channel warnings. I only channel light, and that is how my vignettes will move as well. So as we close for this vignette, um, I always tell you to choose light. And as we continue this journey, I want you to follow your light until we share space again. Blessings.